All praise are due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has blessed us human beings with the blessing and the ni'mah of aql and thought and intellect. Aql, whatever you may call, it is in the brain, consciousness, mind, intellect. A part of the Quran addresses the heart as well in this regard. That is the actual thing which makes us responsible. Because anyone whose intellect is not developed is not held responsible in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And anyone who loses intellect, even Sharia, the Islamic law, the divine law, does not apply on that person. So it is a great blessing. When we say a person has gone insane, a person loses their mind, they become mentally ill, mentally imbalanced. Even family abandons them. They go into mental hospital sometimes. And sometimes it's just abandons. The husband abandons the spouse. The wife abandons the husband in that regard. And the person just becomes like a piece of meat and flesh lying on the bed. So today, whatever you are here, people are appreciating you, considering you, responding to you. This is not due to your face or anything. In actual fact, it is due to the aql, the intellect which you have. And when a person loses that, no one values, no one actually pays attention. So much so that the person is discharged, even from, as I said, divine commands. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, that 3 people, they are marfu'ul qalam, meaning the pen does not write any sin for them. Allah Azza wa Jal subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs the angel which writes sin that do not write anything. A person who is asleep, so in the dream or whilst in that state, if he does something, she does something, it's not written down. A person who is still immature, a nabaligh, whose intellect is not developed. A person who is insane, mentally disturbed. So it is due to this intellect that the person goes closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah gives greatest wisdom to Anbiya alayhimus salam and the prophets. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the greatest person who ever lived, greatest wise person, intellectual person who ever lived on this face of the earth. And he gave us and delivered the message of the most wise, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his name, one of his blessed name is Al-Hakim, the all-wise. The Prophet ﷺ had this special quality which no one else on this face of earth has, or in the past had, in such a level that there have been many worldly people coming, intellectual people coming, they have given laws and they have made laws. The laws are made in countries in different ways. They are written down. Many people think, like now, for example, the parliament, so many people think about it, argue it, then something becomes a law. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the greatest lawgiver. There has been none like him in the history. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him with the most super intelligence, the super intellect and wisdom, so much so that his silence was law as well. Imagine. His silence was law. Every lawgiver, at least whoever it is, makes a law or the law becomes a law when they speak. Oh, I made this rule, now you should follow this. I made this wrong, now you should not follow it. This is crime, you should not do this. This is good, you can do this. So when someone speaks or writes down, it becomes a law. But the Prophet ﷺ had such a quality. Imagine, just think, that his silence also was law. That if something was done in front of him, if something was mentioned in front of him, if something is acted upon in front of him and he remains silent, the fuqaha says that becomes the divine law as well. Which the ulama say, then they give it a name of taqreer, that there are three types of the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, approval. One is if he says something, that is as well. He does something, that becomes law. And taqreer, qawl, fi'l, and taqreer, meaning that if he stays silent upon something, that becomes law as well. So can you give an example of any other human being as such now or in the past that whose silence is law as well? So that is why many of the things where people who do not understand this, they do not know that they sometimes consider the sunnah is only, for example, women might say, let's say, men keep beard, men actually do this. There are certain things only men do, women, so they wear their hijab and scarf and other things. Sahaba Ikram Rizwanullah alayhim ajma'in in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did many things. So people who do not know this, they think the sunnah is only what the Prophet ﷺ did or say. No, that's not the only sunnah. Sunnah is also what was done in front of him and he was silent. That's approval, and also it becomes sunnah. Also it becomes sunnah. So if someone wore something, a dress in front of him, he did not negate it, was silent, that becomes a sunnah. And he was, so imagine this quality. We do many things wrong. Sometimes we are just silent, things are going on. Imagine the character, the wisdom, the intellect, the special quality of the Prophet ﷺ, that who is a personality other than him, whose silence also become divine law. That if he is silent, it is law. If he speaks, if he law, it's a law. If he acts, that actually also becomes a law. So such a being, that's why we are asked to follow him rather than any person who do not even know themselves what they are doing is right or wrong. Things are coming and going. Intellectual people say they change their mind. The new research comes, as I will be mentioning to you. Things are changed, the laws are changed. But the Prophet ﷺ was the absolute lawgiver, authorized by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him special status.